Fantastic. Thank you all for joining us today. It's a very pleasure to introduce myself. My name is Évariste Kwasi-Komna. I'm Regional Advisor for Water Supply and Sanitation for UNICEF. We are based in Bangkok. And thank all the colleagues and the team for making this event a reality today. 2 years ago, we have had a similar event organized in China, where we have explored also some of the technology, sanitation technology with partners, private sector and institution in China. And we continue this journey through now Thailand, where we want again to explore, learn, and also develop innovative solution in sanitation here. And this expo for 3 days will bring together Thai company with participants across the region. And it's organized with by UNICEF in collaboration with Asia Institute of Technology, SCG, and also with other private sector where we are extended to explore, learn, and develop innovative solutions with a focus on market-based solution and opportunity with government, non-government, community, and private sector in this region. So this event will have basically 3 parts. The first part is more on the exposition itself. And then the second part is more how we go and visit some of the company virtually. And then the third part is more the lesson learned component that we'll see so far. So if you are joining us today, please make sure that you identify yourself in your name tag. You mute yourself if you are not talking. You turn off your video if you're not talking as well, and leave the space, blank space for the speaker to talk. But you use the chat box if you want to congratulate us, or if you want to put some of, comment some of the issue as well, use that. And if you have to have some technical issue, you can let us know also by chat, and then we can basically come and, we can help you solve all those technical issues. This meeting has been recorded. It's very important to know that it has been recorded, and it also will be used for future learning process. The good news today that we have also, we speak the language that we have. Participant, you can choose English version or you can choose Thai interpretation at the bottom of the screen here. So if you have your Zoom, you go down, you go to this small icon like a globe. You can change in Thai or put in English as well. We have a Thai translator, waiting to put to translate the event as well. So, like I say, we have the day 1, which is today, which is more the opening session. We'll have a series of keynote speech that will come very, very soon. And then there will be a virtual exposition where we go, we'll be having some technology share virtually. And thank also all the company who have put effort, energy to make the video, to make their presentation, to share with other participants, other private company also in Thailand and elsewhere. And then the day 2, we are going more inside each of those companies to basically have some deep dive to know what the company are doing, what are their supply chain, how do they organize themselves. So we visit 4 of them. One is not the company itself, but also it's more a municipality, how those technology that have been developed have been used in reality as well. So we go to Nonchaburi municipality where we learn about how those technology has been used for wastewater treatment, for example. It will be very exciting for day 2 tomorrow to see more how those technology has been implemented. And then we have at the end a reflection on those field visit, virtual field visit to the company. And then the day 3 is more about how we learn about other countries' technology. So we have a series of countries who will be sharing their thought, their innovation, their thinking on sanitation. And then after that, we have panel discussion where we have a good expert in sanitation sector in East Asia Pacific coming to address some of the challenge we are facing and how we can solve that at a big scale. And the last session on the day 3 will be more on the final reflection with some of the big thinkers as well in the region on reflecting on what we have seen so far. So for the opening remark today, we have four honorable people who will be speaking today. Very important for us. The first one will be Mr. Sanan Agupokol, who is the chairman of Thai Chamber of Commerce, who will be talking today. But unfortunately, he cannot be here. But he have he shared with us his video that will be shared with you as well. And then the second one will be Mr. Dr. Eden Woom, who is the president of Asia Institute of Technology. And then the third speaker will be Suracha Udumsak, who is is a vice president of chemical business and CTO innovation of STG. Will be having some opening remark, and then for the region, we have UNICEF. You have Mrs. Karen Ossoff, who will be talking, will be welcoming all the participants, and also on her opening remark. So I will start very quickly to share with you the opening remark of Mr. San Agupokol, the chairman of Thai Chamber of Commerce.
Good afternoon, all participants. I'm honored to be invited to this Regional Sanitation Expo in Thailand. This event should be an opportunity to meet and talk to all on sanitation, and we hope the situation we all know will improve soon. Thanks to all Thai private companies, partners, institutions who are present at this event today. Water sanitation and hygiene is fundamental for economic development and growth. Thai people knew this earlier and have put a lot of efforts in addressing sanitation and water issues. Great progress has been made overall due to the strong leadership and commitment at all levels. Today, I can say that we truly enjoy fruits of these past efforts in terms of planning, investment, innovation, and continued learning and adapting. The extraordinary reach that we have is also due to private sector companies working tirelessly to expand the reach to many people with new technology, innovation, and a blended approach, innovation, and corporate social responsibility. These companies reach went outside Thailand, and many of these companies have been awarded through their innovation in Europe, United States of America, Asia, and Africa. We are very proud of these successes. The exposition this week will showcase some of these technology and approaches of these Thai companies. Sharing these are important, and we'll be happy to learn from other countries as well to improve. I thank UNICEF for organizing this event with AIT, SCG, and us. I'm sure that new idea and expansion of our work will come as an outcome and resonate with your work in your countries. I wish you all a very good expo, and we're happy to continue this engagement in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you. We thank very much Mr. Sanan Agupokol, the chairman of Thai Chamber of Commerce. The next speaker who will be speaking now is Dr. Eden Woon. He has assumed the position of the president of Asia Institute of Technology on September 2018. He also served as a special advisor of a Sean Foundation in Hong Kong. Over to you, Dr. Eden. Can you put your camera on as well?
Kun Sanan, Ms. Karen, Dr. Dolaya, and Kun Surachat, and ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much today to invite me to give an opening remarks of the Regional Sanitation Exposition and Workshop, Explore, Learn, and Develop Innovative Solutions. This is jointly organized by UNICEF, Asian Institute of Technology, SEG Chemicals. On this auspicious occasion, AIT, Asian Institute of Technology, and the organizing committee joined the Thai people and the world community in celebrating the UN International Year for Creative Economy for Sustainable Development, with which the safely managed sanitation plays a vital role as explicitly pronounced in SDG number 6. It's an honor for the Asian Institute of Technology to co-host this Regional Sanitation Expo and Workshop, which provides a discussion forum for government, non-government, community, and private sectors on the market-based sanitation opportunities. The interactive platform includes technology exposition, virtual field visits, and learning sessions on the various subjects of market-based sanitation approaches. Never before in human history have water and wastewater problems been such a central source of scholarly and serious concern. In fact, water is one of the 5 strategic focus areas of AIT, education and research. Water pollution issues such as poor water quality, inadequate sanitation problems, water reuse and recycling, disposals of municipal wastewater are given prominent coverage in the media. The realization that water and wastewater problems have attained global significance has brought pressure on both policymakers and public alike. Along with this growing interest has come an increased awareness of the central importance of understanding of how human beings use and misuse water. Why this sudden interest? Actually, ever since humans first started interacting with the environment, they have exploited the water environment. Although these processes were essentially local during most of human history, they have assumed global proportions in the 20th century and this century. And this globalization of environmental problems is likely to intensify in the 21st century. In a country like Thailand, which have relatively high economic growth and urbanization rates, as far as its natural resources are concerned, it is of paramount importance that we plan and execute projects which should have minimal impact on the environment, whether it be in the fields of agriculture, industry, or human settlements, and which also encompasses a careful scrutinizing by all concerned agencies. Then came the creation of the appropriate technology and management for the implementation of the same, and this is true for most in the developing countries and is considered an essential prerequisite in the solution of water pollution problems. As more than 55% of the world's population, or 4.3 billion people, still lack access to any sort of safely managed sanitation facilities, it is expected that novel approaches and advanced treatment technologies will have a major role in the global efforts to alleviate water pollution problems, improve human health, and in protecting the environment. Information contained in the expo and workshop, together with the discussion made and networking developed during several very interesting sessions, should lead to create new market opportunity of the sustainable sanitation systems, as well as to increase the development of the innovative interventions for sanitation systems worldwide. On behalf of the Asian Institute of Technology, I would like to express my sincere thanks to the Sanitation Expo participants and the organizing committee for the support which will enable the Expo a success. The excellent assistance provided by the team of a newly launched one-year master's program in regenerative sanitation of AIT led by AIT Professor Kamarad in the organization of the Expo is highly appreciated. I am certain that the Expo will help broaden the dimensions of the participants. This will enable the practitioners to have a better perspective of the problems they face and benefit from the experiences to be acquired here. I look forward to more and more interactions in future endeavors with industries and governmental agencies to strengthen networks and joint academic research collaboration. I extend our encouragement and support to all of you and wish the forum the best of success. Thank you, and please stay safe.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Eden. A very good point noted. The whole sustainable management of wastewater is a key point also, and also the challenge that the world is facing in address sanitation issue and do it totally differently. Before we move to the next speaker, we have a very short video to share with you just to have a flavor of what is going next. Thanks very much. Very nice video that was produced earlier on by our colleague, basically to show what will be included in the Expo, what are the technology that will be seen during the 2 days that are coming up. So the next speaker for us is Dr. Suracha Udumsak. He's a Vice President of Chemical Business and CTO Innovation and Technology, Chemical Business SEG. Dr. Suracha is currently Vice President and also lead Innovation and Technology Group and direct research and development and also driving innovation growth for SEG. Over to you, Dr. Suracha.
Ms. Karin Olsov, UNICEF Regional Director, Dr. Eden Boon, President of Asian Institute of Technology, and everyone joining us around the world today. It's very nice and very inspiring to see that there are many organizations, both public, private, and as well as individuals who are driving to see the improvement of sanitation in the region. This 3-day event, which is for explore, learn, and develop, is a great opportunity for us to share information and kickstart new idea, new solution. So together, we all can make the improvement of sanitation in the region, which we strongly believe that this is the basic foundation for society and to make the society healthy and thriving. I think sanitation is very much the main pillar. So for Thailand, even though we have been making a great stride in terms of sanitation infrastructure, efficient wastewater treatment system, but as the pace of urbanization is increasing, there are many locations that the water after use is being left untreated, polluting the natural waterway and adversely impact many people, health and livelihood. So we strongly believe that if we can eliminate or lessen this problem, not only will we improve the well-being of the people and the planet, but I think it's good for the economy. Therefore, we are very happy that for SEG, we have been working with the multi-stakeholder, both government, community, universities such as AIT Institute, and also NGOs such as Bill Gates and Melinda Foundation. For chemical business, we have been, SCG, we have been very much focused on sustainable development. We have incorporated United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDG, as well as environmental, social, and governance concept, or ESG, in our business conduct and direction. And for this topic, we have been using our expertise in petrochemicals, in engineering and product design to develop Cyconics by SCG. It's a compact human waste and wastewater treatment system, which we have been working with Asian Institute of Technology, or AIT, and also with the strong support from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. This innovation started out as an all-in-one treatment unit, but since two years has passed since we launched this program, we have evolved into a modular treatment and separate on-site technology, waste separation, solid treatment, liquid treatment, and odor elimination, all of which can be customized to fit the specific site requirement, toilet habit, and the budget, turning waste into pathogen-free reusable resource. These improvements were made possible by our team and partner determination to test and try out the product. And with the strong support from the community and the customer in use, we get a very good feedback for continuous improvement. So we hope that over these 3 days, we can share with you our learnings. And we also excited to learn more about other technology available in the market and effort being made to advance sanitation solution in this region. So last, I would like to thank UNICEF for organizing this event. And for us together, let's strive toward Agenda 2030 together. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Surachat. A very nice point that we need to work together. Collaboration is very key, and also appreciate all the effort and technology and innovation that you have been developing to basically support the sanitation program in East Asia and Pacific. Thank you for all the support. And then the next speaker we all know is Karin, who is speaking. I will not, share with you the bio of Karin, but I will say that Karin is the sanitation activist. Karin, over to you.
Thank you so much, Evarist. First of all, I greatly appreciate the remarks of Mr. Sanan Ang-Ubokong, Chairman of the Thai Chamber of Commerce, for his nice presentation. Also, Dr. Eden Woon, President of the Asian Institute of Technology, highlighting the need for technical innovation. And just now, Dr. Suracha Udumsak, Vice President, SCG Chemicals Business and CTO Innovation, for all the fantastic work in sanitation in Asia and also globally. It's my true pleasure to join other voices before me to welcome you to this 3-day virtual Sanitation Expo. That's definitely a first, to do a virtual Sanitation Expo. I would like to thank the collaborating agencies working with us on this important event that has brought us together, such distinguished speakers from the business community, from government, all along with all of you, the active participants. While this event is hosted virtually here in Bangkok, I'm thrilled to see so many people from across East Asia Pacific and beyond joining today's event. It's a true honor to join you here today to discuss sanitation, a human right. As many of you know already, Thailand has achieved extraordinary results over the years and decades in water and sanitation. And these results are due to strong government leadership, private sector engagement, innovation, and financing in the sector. In 2015, as some other speakers already said, world leaders came together to adopt Agenda 2030, setting sustainable development goals for a better world. The ambition for sanitation goes way beyond toilets, challenging all of us to work together to make safe sanitation a reality for everyone, including the most vulnerable. We have a major opportunity within and beyond the sector to impact on youth of today and future generations through embracing new technologies, innovation and sanitation systems, sustaining behaviors, and by ensuring that we have the right skill set to meet the future needs of the sector. Globally, every day, over 700 children die because of diarrhea. This equals 2 children dying per minute, and that is caused by unsafe water, sanitation, and poor hygiene. And this, in turn, is also closely linked to undernutrition, which is a major issue right across Asia. Yes, sanitation, safe sanitation for all, is a significant investment. It isn't cheap, but the economic benefits of sanitation have been estimated at 5 times the cost. Improved sanitation also benefits businesses. It improves productivity, talent recruitment, the business climate, as well as it increases consumer purchasing power and reducing water treatment costs. And of course, it saves 700 lives of children every day. No organization or sector will be able to tackle the sanitation challenge alone. Partnerships between governments, businesses, technical agencies, and communities are critical to achieving our goal. As you start this meeting today, and Évariste said already, I, as a sanitation activist, would like to highlight 3 things that make me optimistic about the possibility of rapidly scaling up safe sanitation across East Asia Pacific. First is the proliferation of new technologies and systems to address the problem. Achieving universal access to safe sanitation requires innovations that can be future-proof, and this is needed against disease outbreaks, urbanization, climate change, and increasing resource scarcity. Therefore, I'm happy to see with us this week many companies here in Thailand that are thinking beyond the conventional sanitation systems, and they're helping to extend sanitation to the hardest to reach groups. Second is the potential to drive systemic change through partnerships between the public and private sector to realize the sustainable delivery of services at scale. This requires all of us meaning the public sector, to work together and keep a learning mindset as we try new models, adapt to what is working. And this requires businesses to continue to take a more holistic approach in working with governments and other stakeholders to invest in systems instead of standalone projects. Third is the opportunity of the sanitation economy for young people across the region. The sanitation sector will need to add millions of new jobs across the sanitation service chain to reach the Sustainable Development Goals. New technologies are an opportunity for youth entrepreneurship and innovation. At UNICEF, we are working to support this shift. We stand ready to make available our networks, advices, ideas to initiate, broker, facilitate, and communicate any opportunities that will help to scale up sanitation for all children in the East Asia and Pacific region. Once again, I would like to thank our partners in this event, the Asian Institute of Technology, SCG, and the Thai Chamber of Commerce. And I thank you all for joining us today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Karin, for the powerful opening remark, which basically give us a thought on how technology can also create a lot of jobs, and also how, in the same time doing that, reducing the children affected by diarrhea and reducing the death of children. Thank you very much, Karin, very powerful. And then we recognize you again as a sanitation activist, actually, by this powerful speech. Thank you very much for that. And also, I would like to thank all the speakers, Mrs. Sanan, Dr. Eden, and also Dr. Surachat for your opening remark. Before we let you go, we have our global WASH chief.
It's a pleasure to be with you here virtually from New York City and welcome you to the Thailand Regional Sanitation Expo. It's an honor today to present an overview of the sanitation sector and opportunities for private sector engagement. Despite progress, 2 billion people still lack even a basic level of sanitation service. Over half the world's population, 4.2 billion people, use sanitation services that leave human waste untreated, threatening human and environmental health. Of those, 673 million people have no toilets at all and practice open defecation. An estimated 367 million school-aged children still attend a school with no toilets, and more than 10% of healthcare facilities have no sanitation services whatsoever. The world is alarmingly off track to deliver universal access to safe sanitation by 2030. However, despite global trends, the East Asia and Pacific region showed strong progress in accessing safely managed sanitation services with 800 million new users since 2000. And the use of basic sanitation services has increased from 54% in 2000 to 82% in 2017. We've also seen positive progress on open defecation, decreasing from 8% of the population in 2000 to only 3% in 2017. A reduction from 148 million people lacking a toilet to 50 million people currently practicing open defecation. The region accounts for 5 out of the 17 countries worldwide with the highest percentage point reduction in open defecation since the year 2000. Yet, while we've seen tremendous progress, we also have areas to improve. Only 6 out of 27 countries in the region have information on safely managed sanitation services. Emptying practices for septic tanks and pit latrines vary widely across the region, and in some countries, 76 to 89% have never been emptied. And still 369 million people lack basic sanitation services in 2017. So there is still unfinished business, and not all countries in the region are on track to eliminate open defecation. While achieving universal access to safe sanitation will be expensive, inaction brings greater costs. Lack of sanitation results in greater recurrent and preventable healthcare costs, lost income, lost educational opportunities, loss of worker productivity, and environmental pollution. Investments in sanitation bring positive benefits, particularly safely managed sanitation, which avert these costs and generate positive externalities across society. The economic benefits of sanitation have been estimated at 5 times the cost, which is a cost-benefit ratio even greater than that of investing in drinking water supply. Estimates project that the annual costs, capital and operations and maintenance costs from 2017 to 2030 to achieve universal sanitation would be roughly US $105 billion per year. Basic sanitation accounts for $36 billion per year, and safely managed sanitation adds an additional $69 billion. The global average cost per beneficiary to gain access to safely managed sanitation is only $24 per person. Achieving universal access to sanitation by 2030, which is part of the SDG 6 Target 6.2, will require dramatic acceleration in the current rates of progress. Based on current trends, to achieve universal access to at least a basic level of sanitation by 2030, global rates of progress would need to double. Achieving universal access to safely managed sanitation by 2030 would require quadrupling the current global rate of progress. In response to this global challenge, UNICEF is shifting its sanitation program to support the acceleration required for safely managed sanitation. As we move from working on construction of toilets to working on the full sanitation chain that you see in the slide, this has implications not only for the technologies that we use, but also the need to establish a supportive sanitation sector enabling environment. This includes policies, institutional and regulatory frameworks, necessary data and evidence, capacity building, financing, and innovation. We need this enabling environment to ensure that services are safe, available, and affordable. Our ambition is to accelerate global progress on safely managed sanitation services without losing the gains that we've made on ending open defecation. The 5 key accelerators that have been identified under the United Nations SDG 6 Global Acceleration Framework are improvements in governance, financing, capacity development, data and information, and innovation. These 5 key accelerators can be a pathway towards countries' achievement of safe sanitation for all, with the coordinated support of the multilateral UN system, the World Bank, and partners, including private sector. Now looking at these accelerators one by one, I'd like to start first with governance. Good governance begins with leadership, effective coordination, and regulation. Many of you might recognize the photo in the slide, which is taken from the Sanitation and Water for All sector ministers meeting that took place in 2019 in Costa Rica. This really brings together the type of leadership that sanitation needs in order to be able to be prioritized at country level. Sanitation must be defined as an essential service for which government is responsible and can be held accountable. It must be recognized as a multi-sectoral issue, but also it needs to have a clearly defined lead agency and institutional arrangements. For priority to be given to sanitation, history shows us that it must be included in national policies, strategies, and plans, and backed by human resources and financial resources. Safe sanitation can be delivered effectively through a mix of approaches and systems tailored to the local context. And lastly, governments also have a critical role to play in regulating the sector. Well-balanced regulation is key to ensuring effective risk management while still enabling an innovative sector. An example of progress in the region and strong governance is Thailand. The Thai case study stands out as a model of effective use of public funds to promote and support improvements in sanitation on a large scale. In the 1960s and 1970s, a focus on sanitation was established at the highest level of the Thai government through the King of Thailand and was reflected at all levels from the central government to village or district officials with the presence of informed and competent officers. Total coverage was achieved in Thailand by the late 1990s after 40 years of sustained public intervention with a sharp reduction in mortality linked to diarrhea. The success was the result of a comprehensive program that provided sustained long-term funding with careful sequencing of demand and supply side interventions and effective targeting of public subsidies to leverage private funding. The second innovator I'd like to talk about, accelerator I'd like to talk about today is financing. It is important to optimize financing for sanitation. We all know resources are very scarce and must be used in an optimal way to have a maximum impact, particularly for countries and communities with limited access to financial resources. Because sanitation is a public good, public finance has an important role to play and lay the foundation for services that reach the poorest and to galvanize contributions from households and the private sector. Identifying and mobilizing appropriate funding sources and financing instruments is critical. Government investments must be used strategically to attract and optimize other investments, recognizing that most funding for sanitation comes from households themselves in the form of tariffs, user fees, or purchase and construction of their own toilets. We all know that there are multiple sources of funds for sanitation that governments can access and combine: taxes, tariffs, transfers, and repayable finance. And these need to be optimized with each source being used for the best purpose. Governments can enter into public-private partnerships for service delivery. The third accelerator we would like to cover is capacity development, which underlies all of these other areas to drive progress and sustain services professionally. The low emphasis historically placed on sanitation has resulted in significant capacity shortfalls throughout the system. Developing a strong sanitation sector will require a bigger workforce with better skills. As the sector expands to reach more people, we need more competent sanitation professionals to be able to step into this role. Capacity development is more than training. It encompasses human resources development, organizational development, resourcing, and research and innovation. Capacity is needed at all levels in line with the respective mandates of different governments and the private sector, whether it's national or subnational private sector. And also the workforce must be diverse and gender balanced and be able to capitalize on the sanitation economy. At the heart of UNICEF programming is a strong emphasis on providing tailored support to governments with each level of capacity and in all contexts, including humanitarian and fragile settings. An intrinsic support of providing the right support in the right place is to be able to help improve private sector engagement in the sector to stimulate improved services and product supply chains that are affordable to the users. The next accelerator I'd like to talk about is one of my favorites, which is data and information. For sanitation, as in so many sectors, reliable data support better informs decision-making and provides an opportunity for stronger accountability. High-quality data allow governments to better target investments, to be able to track progress, to make timely course corrections, and to make sure that the investments that we're making are reaching those with the greatest need and who are most vulnerable. Data is essential for advocacy and to inform policy, and whenever possible, disaggregated data is needed to be able to stimulate political commitment, inform policy and decision making, and enable well-targeted investments to make sure that we can maximize health and environmental and economic gains. Lastly, the final accelerator is to be able to scale up innovative practices and technologies. We've heard and we've said many times, business as usual is no longer an option if we are going to achieve the transformative progress needed to meet Sustainable Development Goal 6. Achieving universal access to safe sanitation requires innovative solutions and increased private sector engagement. Innovation can also help us protect the sanitation workforce, giving them safer and more dignified jobs. Innovative technology and approaches can help limit workers' occupational exposure and provide a healthier workplace. Measures such as phasing out manual emptying and replacing it with motorized systems can improve worker health and efficiency. Also, having appropriate personal protective equipment, standard operating procedures, regular health checks can improve worker health and safety, not only for the workers, but also for their families, and at the same time, support a continuity of services. I think in the trends that we can see in the East Asia and Pacific region, we can see that increasing urbanization and migration to urban environments call for new ways of meeting the needs of high-density populations, often living in poverty or in informal settlements. To date, most urban sanitation interventions have relied on the expansion of centralized sewer infrastructure that rarely reach low-income communities and are ill-suited to dense urban slums, unplanned settlements where much of the urbanization takes place. Recognizing the urban sanitation crisis, its disproportionate burden on the urban poor, and the limited progress of the prevailing approaches, there is a need for a radical shift in our approach to reaching these communities. We need further innovations to think beyond conventional sewage systems, which are costly, time-consuming to install. And what we can look at is having more decentralized, non-sewage sanitation systems that you're going to hear about this week. We need innovations in facilities and inclusive service models, such as container-based sanitation, that can meet the needs where space, tenure, tenancy, and geology make conventional approaches impossible. In rural areas, we must also seek new ways to ensure sustainable services in the most hard-to-reach areas, build strong supply chains and markets so that people can have high-quality goods and services. We also need to identify how we can include resource recovery through circular economy models that are resilient to climate change and water scarcity. These are the types of solutions that we need. Governments also have a critical role to play as the duty bearer for the right to sanitation. Partnerships between service providers and academic institutions have proven valuable and mutually beneficial. Governments can enable innovation through sound regulation and by setting sanitation technology performance criteria and standards that reduce risk but are not overly prescriptive to stifle sanitation. Governments can also support the sharing and dissemination of research and innovation to be able to create an innovative sector approach. Private sector engagement will be critical to achieving safe sanitation for all, and it cannot be done by government alone. Shared value partnerships are needed. Achieving safely managed sanitation will create business opportunities, for example, in the provision of toilet and septic tank products, tank emptying services, and product financing to support households in building toilets and septic tanks. For example, a study commissioned by UNICEF in Indonesia found that the market size may exceed US $5.3 billion over the next 5 years. This is particularly true here in Thailand, where 91% of the households have septic tanks. UNICEF leads global partnerships with the private sector that can create shared value. As an example is our partnerships in the area of sanitation and hygiene, where we actively look for private sector partners to evolve markets for basic and safely managed sanitation, to develop new public-private partnership models for the sanitation value chain components, new product lines, and service models for safely managed sanitation. We also support the uptake of safely managed sanitation products and services to help develop targets and standard setting so that we can reach new levels of coverage of these services, meeting the international standards. As part of UNICEF's COVID-19 response, we have increased our engagements with the private sector, not only in the area of sanitation, but also in promoting hand hygiene for all. And many of you may already be familiar with this initiative, but it's one that we launched together with the World Health Organization at the onset of the pandemic to be able to tackle the challenge of reaching 3 billion people who don't have access to hand washing at home with water and soap. This has been an effort of many partners to be able to try to close these gaps with the massive attention that has been given from governments and from the whole community to understand the need for enhanced innovations, supply chains, and government leadership. This is part of the front line of pandemic preparedness. And we are now seeing as over the past year that it's moved from an emergency response to become a central public policy issue and has also elicited new forms of private sector engagement and partnership, for example, on platforms like the World Economic Forum, COVID Action Platform. We are seeing greater attention than ever before. And in order to make sure that we are not only accelerating progress, but also sustaining the gains, we have looked at developing the hand hygiene supply chain through a market accelerator to be able to provide increased opportunities for private sector engagement and partnership to strengthen the long-term resilience of hand hygiene markets globally so that we can both accelerate but also sustain the gains that are being made on hand hygiene as a critical component of both stopping the transmission in this pandemic, but also putting in place a more preventative approach to future outbreaks. So with that, I wish you all an excellent conference. This is a very passionate topic. And we invite partnership and discussion to be able to strengthen the sanitation sector across East Asia and the Pacific region. We would like to continue the excellent leadership that this region has shown on attaining and demonstrating how universal sanitation can be a reality. Thank you very much for your attention. And I wish you a fruitful event and look forward to hearing more about the outcomes from this Expo event and seeing how we can take these forward together. Thank you.
Although Kelly Ann Naylor, who is our global WASH chief, is not joining in live, we can see in the chat box there's a few questions that are coming up, and we will try basically to answer those questions. So we are basically here today, tomorrow, and then we can dig into some of those questions as well. But I do think that we have also some of the colleagues online who can basically provide some of the additional information on the questions that are coming up. So I'll read a few of them. Some of the questions are more related to how sharing the speech. So sharing the speech of regional director. And then the question is like, is the Thai rural we reach 90% and 91% was improved sanitation? I will call Dr. Tamarat to come on this as well. And some people are asking what technology and innovation technique that Thai apply in the SCE area, also on waste management. Dr. Tamara will go to that again very quickly. There's one question related to financing, tracking financing. I will come back to that once Dr. Tamarat reach off all those questions. But please, just to remind you that you are here today and then tomorrow, and you will see in most of the presentation that you know, some of the answer will come. Dr. Tamarat, over to you.
Thanks a lot, Eva, over to me about these interesting questions. Definitely, the Thai government in the past, I think, led by the Ministry of the Public Health, they have a very good campaign and the policy to leverage this kind of the basic sanitations that provide access, and also mostly is not really called as a septic tank. It is a kind of cesspools, and then later we are moving in the better form of the septic tanks. Then I think the motivation factors that the central government to campaign the ODF, the authentication free village or communities or the districts. I think Ministry of the Public Health has a good statistic, as Kelly has mentioned about that. The data or the reliable information are very important, that the policymakers can listen and then make a good policy. Say that, well, if you are not improving the toilets or the sanitations, then you will have much more burdens in the health sectors, in the medical, in the hospitals, in the many other things that coming up after having poor access to the sanitation. I think that would be the good lesson learned, and that's why many of the good cases in Thailand that share among themselves, I mean the local authorities, and then they try to do the same in the other country, in the other provinces as well. So I think that was my thought related to the rural sanitations. Eva, over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much for the answer. I think that's yeah, great. And then you can see a lot of commitment happening, a lot of innovation as well, drive the whole challenge as well. Thank you very much, Dr. Tamarat. And then during the 3 days, you see all those progress for many company and what they have done. One of the questions related to financing, right? And then, you know, the whole discussion is like, we cannot totally dissociate the sanitation financing to the overall pot. And I think this is right in most of the country. Now, is there any specific that has been done in Thailand, basically to, you know, zoom out the whole sanitation funding, for example, that many countries can learn from? Dr. Tamarat, yeah.
Yeah, I think the financing is a very important part that, of course, not the investment by the government sector itself, the central funding to provide the toilets or to provide the public toilets. So the local authorities and also the private sectors, NGO, the community themselves also join hand in providing the initial investment of the toilets. But of course, the question would be that who will be the one that provide the operation and maintenance cost, especially for the public toilets. It is quite a big burden in the past. I think when I was young, many of the public toilets is so stinky, so bad smell. But I think because of the good campaign slogan on that, if you have the bad smell, then the public toilets would not be that good to access, and then they have lots of campaigns or the competitions amongst the public toilets in the temple, in the school, or in the gas station, that if you get the clean and safe toilets, then you will get the rewards from the ministry. I think that would be a good campaign, and then many others coming up that, okay, if you have good business in your gas station, in your restaurant, in your department store with the good toilets, then more customer, your business will be much better. So that I think would be one of the key mechanisms that can provide the financing to the sanitation system.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tamarat. We still have 1 minute before we close this, and there's a question related to what you call the CSC, the sanitation in a challenging environment. That will include also where we have sanitation facility to be in the area where it's very difficult to dig, for example, right? Or to a very wet area where you have a flooding. How do you think whether the technology had been used? One word basically to reassure the participants before we go to the next presentation.
Yeah, I think in Thailand we still remain this the challenging environment that cannot access to the good sanitation system. There are many slum area or many people living along the canals. For example, in Bangkok city itself, there are many people who get close to the canal, and then the toilets has to be above or very next to the canal itself. So I think that would be quite a big challenge for us, that by technology itself, it may not be possible to to solve this kind of problem, but the maintenance or the operational practices, like if you have a good septic tank or the tank, whatever you have in your household, you have to have a good maintenance system that emptying or have a good take care of those toilets or sanitation system. Then it could be helpful, but I'm sure that the other company products from today or tomorrow, you will see more that how this could help the products could think about that. Well, how can they change the products in this kind of a challenging environment, and then that could be a new products that we can suggest to the company, I guess.
Great. Thank you very much. And there's more question coming, like, on floating zone, but I think we see that later on. Before I give the floor to you, Dr. Tamarat, because you'll be facilitating the next session, the exposition will start now with SCG that will be presenting some of the technology, DOS, Aqua Nishira, and then Boda will be presenting soon. So it might be very good to stay tuned and see those kind of technology that will be presented. And thank you very much, Dr. Tamarat. Now I'm giving the floor to you for the next session.
Thank you very much, Eva. So that we would like to bring you to this interesting virtual expositions that having at least the 4 companies to exhibit the products or the services that you can learn, you can find out that how and why they offer this kind of technologies or the innovations to the sanitation market. From the view that Kelly has mentioned to you about that this kind of a sanitation industry is expanding from 80 to 100 million US dollar. I think that could be the huge industry, and then the many companies may wish to offer a variety of the products. But in Thailand, I think one of the leading companies that offer the new innovation or the technologies that can address the sanitation issue. I think the very first one, I would like to invite the SCG to demonstrate or exhibit the technologies, the innovation that can share to the audience that how these products, how these technologies can be working in the Thailand in different kind of settings, urban, rural, or different kind of environment. So SCG, I don't know who would be the one that show the case. Please.
It's me, Nicholas.
Nicholas, yes, please. So can you please
can I just share my screen and check that
yes,
you can
please.
see?
Yeah, I think you have about 15 minutes, and then after
yes,
which
I do, yeah.
allows the Q&A for you to later.
Can you see my screen okay? My presentation?
Yes. Nice.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Samarat.
Yeah.
So I'm Nicholas Stafford from SCG Chemicals, and I work on the product development and implementation of Zyklonic by SCG. So SCG is a large, well-established company in Thailand, over 100 years of history, with 54,000 employees in Southeast Asia and across the globe. So core kind of businesses are in the building industry, chemicals business, and packaging business, as well as social sustainable development enterprises, which we're going to talk about today. So what we have is Zyclonic by SCG. So this is our sanitation enterprise. So what we do is turning human waste into valuable resources. So really the starting out of Zyclonic happened. This was because of the Reinvented Toilet Challenge, which was set up by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, with the intent was to invent and design non-sewered on-site treatment systems. And key to that was that it was to kill pathogens, that should have an affordable price and should be off-grid as possible. So not using main supply electricity or main supply water. So really AIT was who picked up the project at the start and invented and developed the technologies for treating the toilet waste. And then SCG came in as a commercial partner to really bring these products to market and spread them across Thailand and the globe. So this kind of collaborative project together, the first outcome was what we call the Zyclone Cube. So the Zyclone Cube is an on-site compact treatment system that essentially takes mixed solid and liquid waste from a flushing toilet and treats it and transforms it into reusable, pathogen-free, clean water and a kind of soil conditioner type material that can be put directly on the land. So we first demonstrated this Zyclone Cube in Bangkok at a site called Rama 9. And you can see the Zyclone Cube in the bottom left-hand corner, right next to the 4 toilet block. So it was part of a community project as well. So we gave the toilets to the community with the treatment technology, and then the community gained also by using those clean byproducts to put it straight onto their land, into their allotments where they can grow fresh vegetables and produce, which they can later on sell or consume themselves. And also part of that project was, again, with the Gate Foundation challenge, was to make it off-grid. So we added solar panels to power some of the technology, and also added rain collection roofing to collect water to top up the system with clean water. And then in 2009, we won a Social Innovation Award for this project, a Thai Social Innovation Award. And also in 2018, SCG's project was one of the ones highlighted really by the Gate Foundation at the expo in Shanghai in 2018. Then another real outcome of our collaboration with AIT was our liquid treatment tank. So this just treats liquid, no solid treatment. And essentially, we can take black water, grey water, from effluent from septic tanks or urine from urinals, treat the effluent in our aquatic tank, and then which turns it into clean pathogen-free water for irrigation and toilet flushing. And I'm just going to show you a little video.
There are many places in the world where clean and safe sanitation solutions are still not available, causing human distress and environmental damage. But today, no matter how remote the location, everyone can access better toilets with Zyclonic by SCG Total Sanitation Solutions. Zyclonic by SCG was one of 4 pioneering sanitation enterprises featured at the Beijing Reinvented Toilet Expo in 2018. Zyclonic by SCG currently offers easy-to-install front-end solutions and 2 back-end waste treatment systems which kill pathogens and output harmless, reusable byproducts. The Zyclone Cube is designed to treat both solid and liquid human waste direct from a toilet facility. After flushing a toilet, human waste will enter the cyclone cube via the cyclone separator, which instantly separates the waste into its solid and liquid components. The solid waste is dried and treated with thermal disinfection at 120 degrees Celsius, transforming it into a pathogen-free soil conditioner, which can be directly used on the land to enrich the growth of local vegetation, while the liquid waste undergoes a 4-stage mixed media biological treatment process and electrochemical disinfection, turning dirty water into pathogen-free reusable water for irrigation or recirculating within the toilet system. Zyclonic by SCG also offers the liquid treatment tank, which recovers and treats gray water from various sources, such as overflow effluent from septic tanks, urine from urinals, or gray water from showers, sinks, or kitchens. The gray water goes through the same biological and electrochemical treatment process as used in the Zyclone Cube, and the treated pathogen-free water can be stored in a water tank to be reused for irrigation or as toilet flushing water. The liquid treatment tank is a compact, localized solution which can be easily retrofitted to existing facilities, producing 100% reusable water. It is an ideal solution for areas prone to drought and water scarcity. Zyclonic by SCG is one of the sustainable waste solutions offered by chemicals business SCG to provide a better environment and well-being for everyone.
Okay, I hope everyone heard that okay. So I'm going to talk a little bit deeper in some of the technology that you've just seen. So essentially we have 4 technologies that are independent. So we have the waste separation, we have the liquid treatment, the solid treatment, and the odor elimination. But we can combine those together in various different formats to basically create solutions for very different scenarios. So I'll talk about the waste separation, what we call the cyclone separator. This is a device that doesn't use any motors, electrical supply or anything. It just relies on gravity to separate the liquid and the solid. So the solid drops down the bottom while the liquid sticks to the conical shape of the device. Then we have, for our solid treatment, we have our heat screw. So this is a mechanized device which can treat up to 3 kgs of wet waste per cycle. And essentially your solid material goes in the hopper at number 1, and then over a period of 2 hours of processing at 120 degrees Celsius, the solid is dried and disinfected with the steam leaving with the green arrows at the top, and then outputting a soil conditioner type material at the back. And then we have our liquid treatment technology. So this is our aquatic tank with capacity up to about 600 liters of treatment per day. So there's biological and electrochemical treatment processes inside. And essentially your wastewater goes into number 1 and then passes through the internal chambers, 8 different chambers inside, where it goes through various different processes and different filter medias to clean and treat and disinfect that dirty water, until at number 9 you have your clean reusable water that can be pumped to a storage tank. And then we have our odor elimination device, which we call our bioscrubber. There's no chemicals used in this device, and it only has a small fish tank type pump inside, and essentially it's used to kind of get rid of any smells generated from treating your solid waste. So any volatile organic compounds or odors pass through the towers, and inside the towers there's a biofilm which essentially eats and removes the smell from the vapor. So when we're implementing our liquid waste treatment technology, and as just discussed, septic tanks widely used in Thailand because they are cheap to manufacture, easy to install. But a problem is that your overflow effluent, when they fill up, this can be released without treatment, so it's still dirty. This is obviously not great for the environment, for canals and waterways, because your dirty effluent is going directly to them, and it's not great for human health either, because this is dirty water still. So what we do is we essentially tap off your overflow effluent and put in the aquatic tank. So we retrofit it and tap that overflow effluent and clean it and treat it so that you can then put it into a water storage tank and reuse that for flushing your toilet or for irrigating your garden. So real benefits of this is it's like a localized circular economy way of thinking. We have waste, but we are then sorting it, processing it, revaluing it, and reusing it. And by reusing your water, you're reducing your septic tank bills because you're not going to need to empty it so much, and also reducing your utility bills. Then when we're implementing the full system, so the solid and the liquid, it's a bit more complex, and as I mentioned, the cyclone separator relies on gravity to separate the solid and liquid. Therefore, the outflow from your toilets needs to be a higher level than your cyclone separator. And so when you flush your toilet, your mixed waste goes to the separator, the liquid goes to the aquatic tank for treatment, and the solid goes to the heat screw for treatment. Your bioscrubber removing the odors, and then you're generating your soil conditioner, which can be put onto the land, and your pathogen-free reusable water. As I said, this is a compact on-site solution. It's not for a large scale, so it's ideal for a small community restroom, a single household, or a small restaurant or industrial facility. And again, similar, it's very localized circular economy way of thinking of reusing and turning your waste into new value. And then with the added value of your soil conditioner, your solid part, you can then put that on the land to help grow vegetation, which you can gain an income from. And then what we've really found is that from our implementations is a hybrid system is another alternative. So this is bringing together the septic tank and our technology for treatment together. So at the first stage, you have your septic tank. The second stage is to add your liquid treatment tank to treat just the liquid. And then at the third stage, to add your solid treatment. And as you can see on the left side, there is a three-way valve. So you can direct your waste either to the cyclone separator or to the septic tank. So what is great about this is that it's about a gradual engagement with new technologies for people and communities to understand how they work. And really what the benefit of the septic tank is that it adds a fail-safe component. So your toilets will always be functioning and always work, whether there is maintenance being made on the technology or there's some kind of technical problem. So your systems can run, your toilets can run all the time. So within Thailand, we have tested around 7 locations now with a variety of different setups and solutions, combining different technologies together. And as you can see, they vary in the size of the demonstration sites, the type of public and type of users, and the differences of effluent and the load of that effluent, please join us tomorrow for our virtual field trip, and I will go through each of these different demonstration sites and explain a little bit more about how they've been set up and the kind of performance they have. So thank you very much. And any inquiries, if you add to the chat, or you can contact us at cyclonic@scg.com. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Nick. That's very interesting that the SCG has been advancing these technologies very much, and then variety of the mix and match the technologies from the wet, from the aquatic parts or the cyclonic parts. That also interesting. I think there are many questions listed in the chat box. I think one of which is that about the investment cost as well as the O&M. then they ask about that, whether it is connect to the electricity supplies or not. Is that necessary? So I think that would be the fundamental questions that you may address right now, Nick.
Yeah, so I think, as you can see, we kind of bespoke design solutions depending on what your requirements are. So we can't really give you a cost now, but we can evaluate what your needs are and then work out the best solution, really. And because we can mix and match technologies, we can suit it for your budget as well. What else was the question?
The electricity.
Oh, and so electricity, again, you can either have main supply, or you can run from sustainable solar panel sources. Again, it's at each level of increased technology, you're increasing the amount of electricity you need. So if you just have the liquid treatment, you're talking only 4 kilowatts per day. But then once you start adding the solid treatment technology, you're doubling the amount of electricity that you need. So we're really about flexibility and offering, bespoke setups depending on different needs and different cultures and different scenarios. So it's very open.
So they asked about that, the O&M requirements, how easy it is to operate the system.
So again, it's all about the different stages. So the liquid treatment is fairly easy to operate and maintain, these minimal maintenance. But when you start adding the solid treatment, and you can see it's more mechanical technology, then you're increasing your maintenance requirements. So yeah, it's depending on the scenario and fitting the best solutions for the types of different scenarios.
Okay, so the other question is asking about the quality of the effluent, the outlet.
So
comply with the standards, or which kind of standard you can comply
so
with?
We are comparing it with the ISO standard 30500, and we have in Thailand been comparing it with Thai PSCD standards. Tomorrow I will go through some of the performance data, and it really, every site is different, because we found out that the effluent is not the same. So it very much depends on the source of the effluent coming in, and what the results will be and the type of effluent. So we've had lots of experience from different sites.
So some questions mentioning about that, the SCG referred to the treatment tank only, or upper structure process plus the treatment tank? Just a treatment tank, if I understand.
The front end, you mean, and the back end? So we do have a front end solution. So we have our kind of easy to install flat pack plastic toilet designs. But our technology, again, it's about flexibility. We can install into any type of front end toilets that you wish, or the consumer wishes. So we do have one solution, or a couple of solutions for the front end. But
and this is for the flushing toilets, right? Or
yes, that is key.
Dry toilets, isn't it? Yeah. Okay.
That is key, that we are flushing toilets, so we're not dry toilet. So we need the water.
Also asking about that, whether it is possible to apply for the chair tent, connect to maybe 2 or 3 households.
Oh yes, yeah.
Possible, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. We need to find out your requirements, how much effluent you need to process, and then we can share one unit between two households maybe, or we could just need to design the system for the particular scenario. So you definitely sharing devices between multiple sources is possible.
So another interesting question is asking about that after sales service. Is there any by SCG or not?
So we do have in Thailand currently, and when with our global partners. So we have just actually installed in South Africa, and we have a partner in South Africa who does the maintenance and servicing there. So it really depends on which countries we go to next and where, and the partners that we have in each region, in each country. So we will build those relationships.
So the question also asks about that whether it is adaptable or applicable to the rural remote areas or not.
Yes, because it's you know, a compact on-site solution, which you can run from sustainable energy sources. So solar panel, it can be independent in rural area. And then again, you know, when flushing toilet, but once you kind of put the water in the system, it just can keep on reusing round and round again. So you don't need to really connect it to a water supply.
That's great. I think I would like to have only the last question addressed to that. The effluent is the pathogen free. How about the amount of the fecal coliform? Is it 0? I mean, in the effluent quality.
Yeah, it's a pathogen free. Every test is against the ISO 30500 standard. So it kills all the pathogens for the solid waste.
Yeah, I think I'd just like to share a bit on the reinventing the toilets program by the guest foundations that having the requirements that all kind of innovations we have to pass through the system that pathogen-free effluent, I mean the liquid effluent, that before discharging the liquid effluent, it has to be the pathogen-free. So that's why this kind of system can be developed using the electrochemical disinfection process. Right. So thank you very much, Nick. I think
thank you, Dr. Tamara.
28 minutes, a bit beyond
the
schedule, but I think that's very interesting. I'm sure that the SCG team can address the more answers to the question directly to the question like that, the cost or the others. And of course, they would be more interesting to witness the virtual tour tomorrow that SCG will explain and demonstrate that there are so many of that demonstration units that using the technology right now, either the cyclonic or aquanic, and a combination of those. So I think that would be enough of this first part of the exposition by the SCG. Thank you very much, Nick. And
thank you, Dr. Tamara.
For very interesting and comprehensive presentation. So next, I would like to invite DOST. I think DOST, one of the well-known companies in Thailand, and also having many products offered in the region, not only in Thailand. I think in Southeast Asia, DOST also offer a variety of the products to the region. So please welcome the DOST company to demonstrate, to exhibit the technologies. So, Kuntinawat, you would like to start, please?
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, UNICEF team and AIT Professor Tamarat to have to let us join this very good event. I would like to introduce DOST. DOST is actually the brand names of Thammasat group of companies for environmental products. So I would like to share some backgrounds of DOST in Thailand. Okay, so we are actually Thammasat Group is the group company which we have 3 main business. The first one is a DOST, is for environmental business, and Shanta is for nanotechnology business, and Link is for architectural engineering, doors and window business. Today, we will focus on environmental business, especially for water and wastewater treatment, which all the products will be brand DOST. Thammasat Group or DOST, we have right now 6 factories in operation in Thailand and 1 in Indonesia. And these are our factories, which we mainly produce the DOST wastewater treatment complex system from small scale to large scale, And this is the Shanta business, which is a nanotechnology business. We use the nanotechnology as a mixer into the many products, materials to kill virus and bacteria. We use that to apply in our DOS water tank and some other products with many customers in hand right now. And also the nano clay is a silver nano, can be made as a jewelry. These are link, which is the doors and window business. I will go fast and focus onto wastewater and water treatment business. This is a DOS, which we are mainly focused our company for DOS brand as an environmental company. These are the family of the products that we produce in all our factories. We can produce many kinds of container water tanks and also wastewater treatment system. We also join with the SCG to produce the body of the cyclonic toilets technology. These are some septic tanks and water container, and also the quick tap system that use. We also the mega dealers of many water-related products, like the water pumps, water filtration system, water heaters, and these are the larger scale tank, which can be produced by many materials in our factories, from polyethylene, from polymers, and FRP. The tanks can be produced in many scales, from small to large. We will go in more details and to show you some installation sample by tomorrow. So we also do the electrocoagulation to separate grease and oil from wastewater. This mainly very useful in the restaurants and food factories. And these are wastewater treatment that we have done in the past. The DOS renovation is actually industrial scale business that we have done about water and wastewater treatment. These are the water treatment plant in 304 Industrial Park, Prajinburi. The total capacity is 160,000 cubic meter per day. These are some projects in southern part of Thailand, produce the potable water system. And these are the wastewater recycling MBR system that we do with we join with PTT gas station on Rama 2 Road. This wastewater will be converted into the clear water to use as a gardening and toilet water again at this gas station. This is also the MBR wastewater recycling system. You do this at the Mega Home Shopping Center. You will see that from this one, this is the black water that coming into the tank, into the aeration tank, and it's coming out as a clear water like this from our DOS MBR system. I will show you more detail in the video by tomorrow. And these are some steel fabrication project that we have done with EGAT. This is the last clarifier for water treatment. It's an advanced grow at 304 Industrial Park that we have done this big clarifier for water treatment. And there's some advanced grow wastewater treatment. So Thai Nam Tip, Coca-Cola factories. We use the water from the canal to produce Coca-Cola in these factories. This is Siam Sanitary Ware in Saratburi, the wastewater treatment plant. There's also some water supply system. This is also the wastewater treatment plant that we have done. So you go fast in this. And these are the potable water treatment system that we call it DOS Oasis. We joined this technology with Korean company. Now this system has been installed and in operation for more than 5 years at 304 Industrial Park at the AA factory. this DOS, we call this technology as a DOS PCF. The DOS PCF is very advanced. With the 160,000 cubic meter per day capacity, it requires only 30% of the space of the conventional system and require about 50% of operation cost only. And this DOS Oasis, which is the small scale of DOS PCF, which is equipped in one container and can be transported into on-site anywhere that you want to treat the potable water. We also, apart from the wastewater and water treatment, DOS also do the solid waste management to handle some solid waste, municipal solid waste, and also hazardous waste. This is some waste sorting plant in Phuket that we do all the sorting plant inside, also the sorting conveyor line. And these are the solid waste treatment plant in Chiang Mai. We also do the solid waste sorting plant in Suvarnabhumi Airport. It's in operation right now. All the waste at the end can become the for composting. It's a belling machine. We also produce this for belling machine and also this kind of conveyor system. These are the recycle system of the solid waste, make it as a fuel. We also do the incinerators for hospital waste. Also, we have done many biogas systems that we use the wastewater from kitchen of factory and canteen coming into our process and make the methane gas to reuse in the kitchen of that factory again. Many references for the biogas system. And this is our latest innovation technology, which is we will like to launch this probably next year. It's a DOS EcoGas. It's one of the technology for LPG and natural gas saving. We use the molecular enhancement system. And this technology will save the consumption of the LPG gas and natural gas about 5 to 20%. This is some reference that we already installed this LPG gas saving system. And we also do the hazardous waste transportation with our sister company named Siam Waste Management Company Limited. So now we come to the community municipal water treatment. I'd like to show you some video to show you the concept of, because we have some issue that what should we do with the wastewater that coming from each household. We have like two ideas to treat it on site or do the central tank. So we like to show you some concept.
Yeah, you can please continue.
So some audio problem at the end. But this is how the video, as this is showing the concept that what DOS can do for wastewater treatment and water treatment in the community.
So is that all your presentation or?
Yes, this is all for today.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much, Thanawat, the DOS team that having shown us to bring us to the very interesting technology. It's not just the standalone technology for water treatment or wastewater treatment or the solid waste management as well, but you try to integrate this kind of technologies to use within the house or within the community. Is that also interesting? I think there are two questions addressing about the compost, about the solid waste management. The first question is talking about that, how is the composting quality that you have done in your projects?
Okay, in that issue, actually, that composting has been used effectively, especially in our Chiang Mai plant in the slide. It has been used widely in the many orange farm over there. So it is very effective use. It depends on the source of the solid waste, which is that one is actually a pure, we can say municipality waste, which coming from the markets, the fruit markets and something else. So the ending products is very good qualities.
So that the compost of the municipal solid waste, right?
Yes, only the composting is to be made from municipal solid waste.
Yeah, it's not mixed with the fecal sludge.
It can be, and in some area we can also use that, especially in Phuket area.
Okay. So another question addressed about that, whether your solid waste management project you have done in other countries or not.
No, right now just only in some part in Thailand and not going out yet.
Yeah. In the future, you may like to expand your market to Myanmar, to Vietnam. in the regions.
Yes, in the future, maybe.
I guess. Okay, the other one that simple practice and appropriate water treatment technology for the household in the rural area. Is there any simple, practical, and appropriate treatment technology for the household water treatment in the rural areas?
For the rural areas,
Yes.
actually,
yes.
if we are actually DOS is actually the septic tank manufacturer. So we will say our septic tank can be applied into rural area, and which is like now we distribute our septic tank through our agent in Thailand and Indonesia and Malaysia and also CLMV countries.
Yeah.
It's very popular use also right now.
But the question asks about the water treatment, not the wastewater.
Oh, the water treatment. Sorry. Actually, for the potable water treatment, we have done for the small scale village project. We have done a few projects, which is also effective right now. And right now we also have some special new technology from Korea. It is a direct filtration system that we use the river water to filtrate in our process. That is a process. And then it can come out as the potable water that people can use for consuming.
Okay,
This
great.
one has been installed in many places in Thailand, in the Sawan, so.
Okay, perhaps tomorrow you can demonstrate as well in your virtual visit, right?
Yes, I will show you some photos. Yes.
Okay, that's great. So another question is about that the recycled water, is that possible to use and also that gain acceptance by the people or not? That you have the concept for the recycled water from the toilet wastewater.
Right now, we understand your question. Right now, the outlet water from our DOS MBR system is suitable for gardening and toilet water, but for potable water is not yet to that point. We need to add one more stage on as the final touching system to make that potable water, but the cost still very high right now.
So it is only for that gardening or for flushing the toilets?
Yeah, for gardening and flushing as the main purpose.
Yeah, no, it's not for the other use yet, right?
Not yet.
Not yet, okay. So what about the compost? Is that acceptable by the people as well?
The composting, actually, right now we handle that plan to the community to take over all the management. So at the first start, it is okay, but right now, actually, we did not continue in observing all that point completely. But if it's the incoming solid waste is purely municipal without hazardous and anything, it should be okay.
Okay. So you have checked the standard quality, right?
Yes, for composting.
Okay, I think that's the questions that I can see in the chat box. Is there any others you would like to address to DOS, to the Tamason company? The audience? I guess that's all. So perhaps they would like to see or make a visit to your company or to your demonstration site tomorrow virtually. That would be more interesting to see, and then learning that variety of the innovations or the technologies you are going to show or exhibit tomorrow. That would be interesting to learn from the field. So thank you very much again, Khun Thanawat from Tamason, to offering this the DOS technology, DOS Live, and many others that well known in country in the region as well. So thank you very much again. So I think the two exposition is finished, and then I'd like to hand over to Dr. Eva to facilitate the the other two expositions. Thank you very much, Dr. Eva.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Tamara. It was very nice to have SCG and those presentation now. And then, we hope that tomorrow you can visit them and see what is going on in their factory as well. And thank you very much for the participant question. We still have two companies to go now. And then the first one to go is Aqua Nishihara.
From the beginning of the economic and social expansion in Thailand, the disposing of untreated wastewater, particularly into sources of natural water, has become an increasing and serious problem. The resultant wastewater pollution causes many significant problems. Clearly, the destruction of natural water resources will not only bring about shortages, but will also, possibly more importantly, cause the release and spread of pathogens. Both the public and private sector are conscious of urgency needed to resolve the problems and are working together. Aqua Nishihara Corporation Company Limited is a private sector operator with more than 30 years of experience in this field. We have been continuously involved in research and development, design, production, and installation of the services needed to solve wastewater problems. Aqua Nishihara also offer a comprehensive range of bespoke services and products to cover all wastewater circumstances. All Aqua products are cost-effective and environmentally sensitive. Today, our company has developed a vast range of products to satisfy the needs of all sanitation requirements. The products can be classified into 4 groups. 1. Residential houses and small buildings. 2. Collective treatment ponds for projects that have undergone initial treatment. 3. Large building blocks. And 4. Water reuse group. Number 1. Residential houses and small buildings. This tank is designed and developed for use in single-family homes of 1 to 10 people as a septic anaerobic system. This is a simple system that does not require energy for the pre-treatment system before being released to the public sewer and receiving further treatment at the community's central wastewater treatment plant. This product is an aerobic system designed for use in areas requiring direct water discharge to natural water reservoir. This system is accessible to general users and can be used to mitigate environmental degradation. This product requires less space for installation and is also a septic anaerobic system. Number 2. Projects with collective treatment ponds that have undergone pre-treatment. This wastewater treatment system is designed and developed for use as a central treatment system of housing estates. Prior to this system, wastewater must be treated from the septic anaerobic system. This system is an aerobic biofilm system using fixed media and moving media inside the tank, designed based on hydrodynamic principles to increase efficiency with circulation and reduce dead zones, designed for easy use and maintenance. Number 3, large buildings. This product is designed and developed for use with residential buildings, government agencies, condominiums, and educational institutions. This type of tank has advanced treatment efficiency to effectively reduce BOD and nitrogen in wastewater. It is a high-performance system using anaerobic and aerobic biofilm, which occupies a small footprint. The tank has a flow stabilization system to be a buffer volume to support flow variations during the peak of the day, which occur twice a day, once in the morning and once in the evening, according to the water consumption. This system will stabilize the treatment efficiency. Extensive testing is always carried out to ensure absolute confidence in the strength and durability of the product. Number 4, water reuse. Reuse of water by bringing the treated wastewater from the finished wastewater treatment tank to continued treatment in order to get the right properties for agricultural usage. The water reuse system is an MBBR continuous sand filter system which can reduce the amount of nitrogen and phosphorus from the wastewater, making the effluent accessible to further usage.
Great. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for this presentation from Aqua Nishihara. There's some few questions that are coming up. I still see the screen of Tanawat from those on the screen. There's some few questions coming up. If you can have someone responding from Aqua Nashira, might be very good. There's few questions very quickly. One is why having septic tank when the outlet is connected to the sewage system? Why not connect the sewage, connect the wastewater directly to the sewage system or to the specific requirement in the Thailand? So this is the first question. And then I think the second question is more, asking for more documentation. Okay, so thanks very much. We relay this question to the Aqua Nashira colleague who are not online today, and then we go to the next presentation, basically for today, which is from Boda. And then it's more, they'll be talking about the decentralized wastewater management treatment system. And you have David Diaz, who has been working for the, in the field of development cooperation for more than 9 years. From Boda, he joined Boda headquarters in Bremen before working with Boda country office Niamey in Cambodia. He's currently country director of Boda in Indonesia. He's working in there. So we'll be having Boda for the presentation. Do we have David online?
Yes, hello. Many thanks.
David, over to you.
Can you hear me?
Perfectly.
Excellent. I just let you know I have a backup, Mr. Hendra Gupta, in case my internet connection might drop out, but I think it should be all right. So let's get started. You will share the presentation, right?
Yeah, yeah, happily share the presentation from here. Can you see my screen?
I do.
Okay.
Well, not yet the presentation though. There we go.
Yeah, okay.
Just go to the first, yeah, excellent. That's first slide. There we go. So thank you very much for giving us the opportunity. Yeah, we've been working in the region, Southeast Asia, for almost 25 years now, I think. I myself have joined, recently in the region, in Cambodia and Myanmar. I worked there, and now in Indonesia. Greetings from Yogyakarta, Indonesia now. So I would like to, it's a focus on the technology pretty much for wastewater treatment today. We do work in fields of solid waste management, fecal sludge management, combined also with water supply partly. Today's presentation, however, is mainly on looking how the development of the technology happened, how we went through piloting phases, how we had first application, came into mainstreaming of the technology and upscaling, but then also what were needs for standardization, benchmarking of technology, with the perspective from like this development cooperation and working in low and middle income countries. Next slide, please. Thank you. So yeah, we work globally pretty much, in Southern and Eastern Africa in particular, in Latin America. Our headquarters is in Germany, in Bremen. We have country offices and a regional office in Jordan, Amman, in Afghanistan, in northern Iraq as well. And then I think, our main focus today is obviously for Southeast Asia, but we also do work in India quite intensively, in Nepal, Bhutan, with smaller projects. The strategic approach for today's presentation, so really looking at decentralized wastewater treatment technology or decentralized sanitation technology. We went through a piloting and an R&D and development phase in the beginning, obviously looking really at locally implementable, locally operational systems and approaches that can be done with local resources, however meet national discharge standards, meet national requirements for the discharge of our safe reuse as well of wastewater. Through a few years of piloting in the early 2000s, our whole work is obviously not focusing only on the technology implementation or development of technology, but also a lot on capacity development. So really it's building up capacity in the sector in various countries, but also on various levels. So on the ministry national level when it comes more to legal framework, etc., but as well for the private sector, for construction companies, for local civil society organizations that we partner with, and as well with municipal or other stakeholders that are our, so to say, clients like school management, hospital leaders, or yeah, different on whatever way it's applicable. And as well, we really look at integrating more currently this kind of implementations into local and municipal or provincial development plans. So saying we moved a bit away from this on-site client-oriented partnerships to more say we have partner municipalities, partner cities, where we look into the next 5 to 10 year development plans and how can they really integrate sustainable sanitation solutions in their planning and implementation processes. And as well, I mentioned it shortly, so supporting an enabling environment is a key factor, of course, when it comes to technology introduction, implementation, building the capacity significantly, working on institutional and legal frameworks, supporting those, that they are somehow enabling the baseline for this. This was a bit too quick. One slide back. Oh, yeah. And yeah, lastly, alignment to national and global development frameworks. And what I mean with that is really that we say, okay, there are these SDGs, new urban agendas, there are large development agendas out there with very ambitious and significant and important targets. However, how can we capacitate local stakeholders, and particular municipal stakeholders, to respond to those agendas and to implement those on the ground? Not only financial capacities, but then particular competencies and knowledge, to reach really these agendas and to bring their contribution, the valuable contribution to the sector. Next slide, please. One too quick, yeah. So very briefly, the technology, this is, in short, really, so pretty much out of 3 main modules. We have a settler. We could be similar to like a septic tank, where we have the main separation of solids and liquid phases. We have an anaerobic buffer reactor and an anaerobic filter as part of the second phase, where we have the highest amount of CO2 BOD removals. We have a planted gravel filter, mainly to the aerobic phase, where we introduce oxygen to the treatment process through the roots of plants, and have the significant nutrient removal actually in this phase. And optional later, depending really on local requirements, there can be a polishing ponds, or there can be a facultative ponds or other tertiary treatment options still available. I want to say one last thing. You see on top of the slide is like a prefabricated module. So we started with this whole technology introduction really with an in situ construction, so really building it on site. But more and more, when we're looking at upscaling and mainstreaming this technology, it was important to produce on scale, to also reduce costs. So in particular in Indonesia, we have a very large program where prefabricated modules came into place. But again, it's a very similar function. Next slide, please. So this goes a bit more into the detail of each module. So we set the settler, or comparative to a septic tank. We have the primary separation of solids and liquid phase. We have, of course, the highest amount of gas development here, which is in many situations we use as biogas. So this is not in this picture, but then it would be more constructed, the whole settler, as a biogas dome. And then can be used for cooking or other purposes. Depends really on the setting where we work. We have a reduction of COD, BOD, or treatment efficiency of around 25 to 40% in this first phase. Desludging is usually, it says here, 1 to 3 years, depends on the sludge storage. In my experience in the past 5-6 years, it was really less often actually. So we have systems where they were 5 years old and they were not yet really built up. The sludge hasn't built up to the extent that it had to be disludged. We have a, next slide, please. I don't want to run to time problems. So the next phase, anaerobic buffer reactor, it's actually, the middle part, where we have we see the water flow goes through a line of chambers. The number of chambers really depends on the quantity and quality of inflow. That depends then on the, that would then influence the designs of the systems. It's again still an anaerobic phase, so no oxygen involved. We have a little bit of sludge that is at the bottom that is important, that holds certain bacteria that are further decreasing the organic load of the wastewater. We have a treatment efficiency then in this phase of 75 to 85%, so or after the first 2 phases. Desludging is rarely needed in this phase because the majority of solids actually settle in the first chamber in the settler. Next slide, please. Yeah, and then the anaerobic filter here is usually used like volcanic rocks, volcanic stones, certain plastic elements. Really, there's always a suitable filter material available in the local markets in every country where we worked so far. It passes through there. Here we have this filter is used in particular to build up more bacteria that is digesting the organic matter and on the organic load of the wastewater. And we usually reach after this 2 phases in efficiency of 90% of the COD removal, or 75 to 90%. Yeah, and desludging is used even less. I don't have so much on the operation and maintenance here. I get a bit later to this, but this filter material, there are certain time periods where it has to be flushed. It doesn't have to be taken out, but it can be flushed in the system in order not for it to block too much, obviously. Next slide, please. And then the horizontal gravel filter or planted gravel filter, I said, is the aerobic phase of the treatment system. In particular, removing smell and any color of the water, or remaining smell and color that is still there, but in particular to remove high level of nutrients that potentially come into the system. Yeah, it is usually gravels, in rocks, gravels, and with this with plants that are available in the regions here, and yeah, introducing oxygen through the roots basically. Next slide, please. And here we have a short animated video. It's just 1.5 minutes, I think. You can play it straight from the presentation, and the sound can stay muted. I just leave some words. It's not too important. This is actually on a construction site still, so it's not as it looks in the end, but we see the manholes of the systems. Here we see the settler, how it builds up, it flows over. The majority of solids stay already in the first 2 chambers. So this is a 2-chamber settler basically. Okay, yeah, it flows further. This is a very large design, obviously. I come later to the quantities that are feasible with this technology in terms of wastewater. Here we have the anaerobic buffel reactor, where we have the first formation of bacteria that really works on the wastewater. The number of sludge on the bottom or the solids is getting less and less, obviously. However, it's not the target to have no solids, no sludge on the bottom, because that is where most of the bacteria can sit and thrive. And yeah, it's a biological treatment system, obviously, that needs this bacteria to digest the waste or the organic matter in the wastewater. And here we see like a 12-chamber, that's usually not as big in most of my cases, but 12-chamber anaerobic filter. Again, we have this vertical flow of water going through the filter material, going through the bacteria that are further reducing and removing COD, BOD, reducing the organic load of the wastewater. And lastly, oh, now it shows. So it's not the most modern video, I must admit. And here we see, an actual picture from the planted gravel filter. It's very, nicely integrated into like schoolyards or hospital yards or, wherever it's applicable. So we have this horizontal flow here instead of vertical flow. We have the oxygen going in from top through the roots. And coming out in the end. This is the backyard in our office in Indonesia, where it's a little bit adapted version of the system. And I think we can go to the next slide. I hope this animation made it a bit clear how the wastewater flows. So, well, very briefly, a few benefits of the system. So it really is a decentralized approach, decentralized system. 1 to 1,000 cubic meter. I'm careful with this 1,000. I know there are a few systems with several hundreds. This is based on like the design parameter. When does it make sense to have really a 1,000 cubic meter treatment system? It really depends on the context. The majority, I would say, of our system are maybe between 10 to 250, 270 cubic meter. And this is, I think, the most standard way. Reduction of pollution by about 90% is not drinking or bathing water. We also don't recommend to like water salad or something that is immediately eaten with this, but it is fine for irrigation, so for root irrigation. We have comparatively low primary investment costs and pretty, or compared to other treatment systems, very low operational and maintenance costs. Yeah, this modular setting of the design is really that it can be, it's very adjustable to the need, to the quality and quantity of the inflow. So what is the customer or the user group basically producing? What kind of wastewater are we dealing with? Then also the design can be adjusted, made it more affordable, make it cheaper, really according to the needs and the discharge standards. Land requirement minimal. Well, that depends, of course, if you compare it to centralized systems. Yeah, I think to the setting I come a bit later again, where we really mainly work on it with this in the next slide. But important is no external energy. It works with gravity flow. No chemicals added usually. No, not usually, always, because that would destroy the bacteria. And it really it's for organic wastewater or for domestic wastewater mainly. Yeah. The service packages means like where do we apply this kind of wastewater treatment system, and our majority is like schools, public institutions, government buildings as well, hospitals is quite a lot, housing complexes like we call them like Borei in Indonesia or like Perumahan in Indonesia. These really more and more popular upcomings now. Sludge treatment plants is a little bit adapted design. It's not exactly the same because we have more solids obviously and not this much of a liquid phase. However, food processing industry in Vietnam, we have a range of successful projects with for noodle processing factories and for village that we have like 10, 15, 20 SMEs that produce like similar kind of food. Now we come a bit more already to the standardization and quality management. So we have introduced after piloting, after really the first upscaling, that we have a quality management system for the technical implementation, for the monitoring guidelines that is very standardized to guarantee like a reliable product, guarantee a reliable outcome and quality of this of the treatment. And I really, although this presentation is very much focusing on the technical parts, a core part, and maybe even bigger than the technical aspects, are really the institutional and social or awareness building, awareness raising, capacity building aspects of our interventions. So Borders interventions focus a lot on, depending on the users or on the beneficiaries, if it's with the hospital, working with the hospital management, working with the operators there, but also the institutional setting, what are monitoring requirements from municipal agencies, from provincial or national government institutions. So that makes, it's not topic of today, but that makes a big part of our work and a big part of the intervention that we do. Next slide, please. Yeah, and I do want to, since we have this partnership with the AIT, I come a bit in a second to this and how this came up and how we see a need for to really benchmark and test, benchmark and certify standards of product. And we talk a lot about products today, and we think about South Asia or Southeast Asia, with various countries, various different preconditions and different government regulations. So this shows a little bit, okay, we went fine, let's say, for the first 100 implementations, but more and more later we realize, okay, especially when it comes to introducing prefabricated modules that can be then produced and replicated by various companies around the region, it's important to say, okay, how can we label, how can we benchmark the quality, the performance of the product, the performance of the treatment process and the quality of the product, and how can we test and certify that in order to reach a reliable standard, and do not create a new problem. Next slide, please. Yeah, just goes through, sorry, this is a little bit unfortunate. So we have on the internal level, I just want to share that we have like a technical audit, we call so, that really is like across countries, since we have offices in Laos, Cambodia, Myanmar. Oh no, I'm sorry, Myanmar has closed, unfortunately, but Philippines, Indonesia. We have before COVID, we had like cross checks. So we had visits from various teams, from like internally qualified auditors that really looked in the implementation process, planning, implementation, and capacity building process of a DEWATS intervention. Really looked at, okay, has the implementation, the product itself, has it been implemented and constructed correctly? There are like technical checks about the performance. Check about the skilled human resources, so that really looks at operators on site to do the operation and maintenance works, and really again looking at the process from A to Z in the design phase, in the planning phase, in the construction phase. Is it going so to develop this let's say intervention standard as well, beside a product standard, having an intervention standard. Next slide, please. Yes. But this works so much as if we work internally as an organization with various partners. However, when we say, okay, this is now to be implemented, we need decentralized treatment solutions to complement centralized systems. It might be, it will be an option for maybe thousands and tens of thousands of systems around the region. So that means there will be a market for product development and product production as well, and fabrication. And when I said about this prefabricated system, it's an essential part in lifting and contributing to the sector and lifting the quantity of system installed, because always in situ build is taking longer, is more difficult to supervise and guarantee the quality. So that's where we came. Next slide, please. Where we came to this cooperation with the Asian Institute of Technology, developing the AIT. No. One too quick. The AIT test laboratory for decentralized wastewater treatment systems, really not only for our system. It's about to say, let's develop a testing system firstly, or a testing approach that looks at material behavior, performance consistency, that can give declaration of performance, so that can actually prove and confirm certain treatment performance and efficiencies. And this is installed now at the AIT, and there will be a session, I think tomorrow, also the session with AIT, that looks really at their laboratory, but also at this testing facility, and that we see is really a key element, not yet completely matured possibly, but a key element for the regional sanitation sector in Southeast Asia to come to product certification, product testing, product certification. And this is definitely not for Thailand only, or Thailand might be also differently advanced already, but for all other countries in Southeast Asia, to say we want to have a benchmark on the products, and we want to really advance the sector of sanitation with promoting and contributing to quality sanitation products as well. I hope I didn't go too much over time. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope it gave a little bit of an insight and also give a bit of inspiration to where the sanitation sector with decentralized technology stands, and what is our experience and our learnings from this. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much, David. Very nice presentation and a good insight. And you can see in the chat box how many people are very excited to learn about what you are doing in all the countries. And I do see how you associate technology with enabling environment, which is very important, because without enabling environment, your technologies are totally useless. So I think this combination is making sense, and it has been well demonstrated in the presentation as well. So a few questions in the chat box. One is for household level can be applied, and how especially a rural area. I think the question is that can we apply it at household level? So this is the first one. The first question. The second question is, how do you remove nitrogen and phosphorus? What are the efficiency? Do they meet the standard of removal that is applicable? And then the third question is the technology feasible in a cold climate? I think this is a very tricky question from Bishnu, from DPRK, asking if you can do that in a very cold climate. And then another question is, can we apply vertical flow constructed wasteland instead of horizontal flow one to improve nitrification and save the footprint? I think is a very good question as well. And then the last question from Kiran is, can we add, is there any external anaerobic bacteria colony that is added to the system? And then can it be constructed in a hilly area? And what will be the rate and flow of the system? So you have a few questions. If you can just, band it in two. One is more the condition, the climate one, and then the second one is more the efficiency in the removal in nitrogen, phosphorus, and then added bacteria. Over to you, David, and then we can go to the second round.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I try to answer everything as much as I can. Maybe with some question, I check back with some colleagues and get back later to you. However, so I just go through the question. I see them in the chat. So household level application. Yes, of course it can be. But it has to be looked at what is suitable, also financially reasonable. Yeah. So if we have a household of 5 and it's a really you have a really small, comparatively small amount of wastewater to be treated. On-site storage, safe on-site storage, or like a 2-chamber septic tank might be more reasonable. That is sealed, obviously, that is safe and not pollutes the environment, nor creates contamination risk for the people who live there. But then looking more at a FSM solution, so saying, okay, is there a safety sludging service provider in the area, and can we have more looking at septic tanks, which might be significantly cheaper than for the household. But we do have examples where we had household level installations, yes. The other idea would be, okay, if there is a group of households together, also in rural areas, and the further they're away, the more piping you need, and that increases the construction cost, of course. So, but if there's a colony of houses that are fairly close together, they can have a joint system. We do have that as well in examples. But this comes a lot to where is it applicable, yeah? And if you don't have a school or hospital with larger number of users, then it's really a lot looking at like peri-urban, urban peri-urban settings rather than very rural settings. It doesn't mean that it's not, that it cannot be done, but is it financially reasonable? Is there a cheaper alternative that serves the same purpose somehow? Number 2, about nitrogen phosphorus removal efficiency. The exact efficiency, no, I don't have it here. Effluent standards vary across the countries, obviously. We have the removal phase of this, especially in the last phase, in the horizontal gravel filter. I cannot exactly say the removal rates, to be honest, right now. I could try to get back as well. Although I see, maybe I can link you, you might be from Vietnam. So we have an office in border Vietnam, and we work with the Vietnamese Academy for Water Resources, VAWR. They have several example projects also in Vietnam around Hanoi, but also in other areas, and maybe that would be interesting to reach out to them and ask their experiences about them. We have a question about, in cold climates, definitely. Well, it is working with bacteria. It's this biological treatment process. And of course, they thrive more, they survive better in hot climates, in tropical and subtropical countries in particular. I do know that we had examples in Afghanistan where we had pretty cold climates and they had sufficient, they survived, and they didn't work as effective as in hotter climates. Although, and so I mean, minus 20 degrees, I would not recommend it, but we do have, I know there is a treatment system in northern India, in Leh Ladakh region, where we partnered with LEDEC, a local organization that builds systems. There are also ways to adapt those systems, but efficiency again is better. Effectiveness, efficiency is better in hot climates. Vertical flow. Yeah.
Can you talk about the costs before we close? Because
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, certainly. Cost again, yeah, it's difficult to say. There's not one standard cost, depends on the context. I just think I give you a few examples. We in Cambodia, for example, we worked over years with UNICEF on primary school sanitation, and really, let's say a school with 200 pupils or 200 to 300 pupils, and only the wastewater treatment system. We do it in an integrated way with hand washing facilities, water supply. But if we would only look at the treatment system, we look at $4,000 to $6,000. This is in situ construction, of course. This is not a prefabricated system. A prefabricated system would be significantly cheaper if it's available in the region. In Indonesia, it is available. Another example, I mean, yeah, they range obviously also from labor and building material costs. But yeah, when we look at something like 15 cubic meter treatment system, so significantly bigger than just of our primary school, I think we can look more at like $15,000 to $20,000. But this is obviously 15 to 20 cubic meter treatment capacity. I mean, there you, yeah, it would be for a small housing community or something. So that is already quite large amounts of wastewater that can be treated there.
Great. So there's one last question, which is more elaborate on how you are able to integrate into national, provincial, and municipal planning.
Yeah, very interesting. So an example of national upscaling, national programming, this is a good example, is in Indonesia, definitely, where we have, after the piloting phase, really around 2012, we have started to support the Indonesian government, and it was first with an Australian aid grant, and there was the first rollout period, basically, and they have done like a national implementation program, and until now they implement, I think still this year they're just starting a new or looking at a new grant from the Islamic Development Bank. I think they're doing around 2,000 to 3,000 systems per year. Indonesia is a huge country, of course, with a lot of peri-urban areas where this is more suitable. Here it's called IPAL Komunal, if somebody looks it up. So it is really to say how we then support this. We would do really large group training of this, like facilitators, either the social facilitators working with the communities. So we cannot support every single implementation, of course, but we can support, we can train like municipal or provincial agents to say, okay, they do community facilitation, they do the technical design and facilitation. Here we have a monitoring system in place that does the post-construction servicing, basically. So to support intermediately somehow where it's needed, and we have a standing and ongoing cooperation with the Ministry of Public Works in Indonesia, who is mainly managing this implementation procedures. And lastly, on municipal implementation and planning processes, again, for example, in Indonesia, we work with several city governments. In this case, on water safety planning is a bit different approach, but then again, looking at, so identifying water resources, identifying like reservoirs, rivers, and that are essential for the water supply of the city. And then looking at the pollution hotspots, identifying those, mapping these, and then saying, okay, we make a plan with them, where is the Stewart system suitable or an applicable solution? Where are other systems more reasonable price-wise, but also from the amount of inflow, from the quality and quantity of the wastewater? So again, and making with them a long-term implementation plan to say, yeah, I mean, to say the intention is to save and to protect water resources in the city, but at the same time looking at how to overcome pollution hotspot and protect these through upscaling, through implementing decentralized sanitation or wastewater treatment systems.
Great, thank you very much, David. Very nice presentation. Thank you for all the question and answer also that you provided. And colleague, if you have any additional question to David, the email of David is on the slide there. You can just send him email and ask your question and engage for more discussion and how this technology can be used as well, and how they manage, basically integrate this in the policy at different level, at the country level. Thank you very much, David, and thanks to the BODA team for the great work doing the region as well. So now we are at the last minute, at a few points before announcing the tomorrow agenda. I would like to thank all the participants today for their tremendous contribution. Opening remark, thank Mr. Sahan for the opening remark, Mr. Sanan from the Thai Chamber of Commerce, Dr. Eden, Dr. Surasha, and also Karin for the opening remark, and our great appreciation for the keynote from Kelly, also well received. I would like to thank Professor Tamarat from IRT to facilitate also the presentation of the technology for SDGs. And also thank to a colleague from SCG, particularly Nick, and those also from Tanahat and Tanaha for their contribution, and also Aquani Rashal video. Thank also David for all the input for this event. And we are not finished yet. Tomorrow there will be more to come, and what you have seen in each of the presentation today from SEG, those Asian Institute of Technology, you'll go in depth tomorrow, basically to have one-to-one with each of those institutions and private company to go and see the whole the company virtually, what they are doing. You can ask more questions on each of the technology, the cost related of the technology, where they have been implementing all those technology, who is buying them, and how they can use them to scale, and possibly see how you can partner with them at a bigger level. I think it's very good. Tomorrow it will give you more flavor on how those things are working. I'll recommend that you visit all, but it will be very difficult to visit all, so we'll put you in some group tomorrow. And then there will be enough to know a reflection on the learning from the visit to each of those companies that will be available for you to the reflection, give you a sort of flavor on other visits as well, that you can capitalize on those. And then there will be a closing tomorrow again. And then Friday will be more exciting basically than today and then tomorrow. So if you are here today, please make sure that you contribute tomorrow. You are in one of the group tomorrow for the visit. Tomorrow the same link will be used as well. And then on Friday, there will be a lot more on live discussion. So I recommend that you stay tuned today, tomorrow, and also Friday, because each of day has a learning component that you want to engage you all in this journey too. So I would say thank you very much for logging in today, and we expect to see you all tomorrow, starting at 2 p.m. again, same time like today. When you will be going to different group as well for the virtual field visit. Thank you for joining today. All the recording, all the presentation will be available to you after the session. After the 3 days, we will send you all the link, all the presentation also, so that and also the recording, so that you can review, re-listen to all those, and have a very good night today, where you are, or good afternoon or good evening, and looking forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.